As a strategy gamer who really likes to micromanage and make every decision myself, I honestly never thought I'd love an autobattler this much. That's why today, I'm collaborating with Paradox to give you a first look at Mechabellum, a new and unique strategy autobattler releasing on Steam today. Make sure to check it out after watching this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and let's make some mechs have a royal bellum all over the screen, shall we? If you don't know the concept of an autobattler, it's actually quite easy. Contrary to the traditional ways of strategizing, where you are both strategist and tactician, Mechabellum's autobattler system gives you control where it matters, but importantly takes it away during the actual battle. Now this might sound a bit scary if you're a seasoned armchair general like myself, but it's actually quite genius. Like myself. Mechabellum takes place on the newly colonized faraway planet of Faraway, in a sci-fi universe where mechanized beasts duke it out. This is where you come in. As a commander of these mechanized armies, it's up to you to get to the other side of these fields and to direct your willing soldiers there. And so how does this whole thing work? Well, Mechabellum is all about the battle, and whether you're playing single player, with a friend, or versus the AI or actual people, and perhaps even in a tournament, the concept is always the same. Depending on the type of battle you're fighting, your starting army is more or less randomized, and the same goes for your opponent. However, if you're playing the practice mode, you can choose 2 of your starting units and a commander with unique skills. For example, if you like to have the upper hand from the get-go, perhaps pick a leader who begins with extra funds, or one who can recruit level 2 units from the get-go. This is our battlefield, but we're not starting just yet. As alluded to, each side begins with a set number of funds you can spend on units or upgrades. I find that Mechabellum really makes you prioritize, as you never really feel like you have points to waste. This is where the strategy comes in, of course, because using your points wisely is everything. Points are used for buying new units, upgrading current ones to higher levels, unlocking entirely new ones, and outfitting them with various temporary or lasting bonuses. For now, we begin simple. Other than outfitting your army, your main task revolves around where to place your units on the field, and importantly, managing to successfully counter the enemy units. This last part is probably the most important aspect bar none, as choosing the wrong unit will have dire consequences from the very first battle. And now you might say, Andy, what do you mean first battle? Well, unlike many other head-to-head games, Mechabellum skirmishes actually takes place over several rounds. Each round sees a victor, and the game finally ends once one of the players have run out of health. Both sides control 2 control towers, and once you've lost all your units and these towers, the round's over. It's a really intense system, to be honest, with each turn having you rethink your approach, although as a rule, every unit you've purchased will follow you into the next turn as well. So then, each unit can by default only be placed down once. This means that it's vital to place them in a decent spot to successfully counter the enemy. And we see by these arrows that we can semi-designate initial enemy targets here. It becomes even more important when we learn that every unit has their own innate strengths and weaknesses, including damage range, blast radiuses, and whether they can attack only ground units or both ground and air. Don't forget that taking out the opponent's tower will emit a battle-wide EMP of sorts, which slows down and weakens the enemy, and is something that can be used to great effect. For the most part, each side has full knowledge of the other side's army and even power-ups, although where new units are placed is revealed only once the battle begins. The first turn can be the most harrowing because it feels like you have the least control, but play your cards right, and you'll make it victoriously into the second one. Of course, actually clicking play means that control is taken out of your hands, and you now get to watch the army you set up march into battle. Despite just watching everything unfold, there's something uniquely fun about the autobattler aspect here, because it almost feels like you're playing a sports management game of sorts, where you set everything up, only to be relegated to the spectator side. But that's honestly half the fun, mainly because we have such a high stake in who comes out on top. It really doesn't hurt to have all the lasers and rockets flying around either, because this is a simple yet beautiful looking game. From all of these gorgeous effects, which really look more and more awesome the longer into the battle you come, to those detailed and authentic looking unit designs, which especially shines bright when it comes to the giant units, Mechabellum is a small but pungent game that really packs a punch. I think one of the best parts of Mechabellum is that sense of finally unlocking some unit you really wanted, and to manage to capitalize on your newfound advantage. For example, while you might not begin with long-range units, and the enemy might not begin with aerial ones, it's often wise to foresee the enemy's moves. A detrimental place to be in is to see the enemy come at you with ships, while you've solely focused on ground-to-ground tanks. Since the battle will last until either the timer runs out or either side's army is wiped out, this means that having aerial units can be a massive advantage. Of course, all you need to counter such a bleak world are units specializing in both ground and air warfare. It's really satisfying when your tactics pan out this way, and I guess if I were to give a tip, it would be to, in the early game, focus on overpowering the enemy with numbers, and to make sure you're actually fielding units that can exploit these weak points. It's also a nice touch that no matter whether you're winning or losing, it's actually almost always possible to bounce back. The main thing you're losing after a loss is health after all, as both teams are awarded new points for the next round and new power-up abilities. Knowing which unit your opponent fielded is therefore the key to victory in the next round, and this is where Mechabellum really opens up, because as you play, you can spend points on unlocking new and powerful units. But the main thing Mechabellum strives for is balance, of course, meaning there's actually no real one-size-fits-all type here. All this means is that we still have to think carefully. A massive and shiny new crowd control mech won't really be of use against anti-giant snipers or focused laser beams, and lowly artillery units can indeed take out giant walkers after all. There is a large number of different units on display here, from the lowly but can be super annoying crawlers, to the trusty, good all-rounder Fangs, to the up and close and personal Rhino, to the ground control giant Vulcan, the weakly defended but dangerous Stormcaller, or a personal favorite of mine, the Overlord Capital Ship. In this sense, no matter whether it's your first or last turn, it remains vital to consider your options carefully and to spend your resources wisely. But even more than that, Mechabellum tosses a few more sneaky tricks your way, but of course, also in your opponents. It's actually possible to spawn friendly enemies on the sides of the enemy base, meaning it's possible to sneak attack them if they don't pay attention. It's really important to be aware of this fact, as being surrounded by giant mechs isn't what I would call a good day. But what's important to note is that the first time you deploy them there, they actually need some time to teleport, as it were, giving the enemy a chance to cut you down to size before you're even battle ready. On the next turn though, your units are all set, making you much more dangerous. Additionally, it's further possible to outfit your units with unique power-ups, like extra powerful ammunition or even portable shields. Again, balance for the sake of allowing for tactics is paramount here, as symbolized by this very game. I lost and lost against this enemy, until when I, after round 6, actually managed to win. I managed to turn it all around because I needed to figure out my position and my counter units, and the genius of Mechabellum is that you can lose and lose, even take your time setting things up for the long game before you finally get the upper hand in the late stage. And coming out on top in the end is what matters after all. And because of its addicting gameplay style, focus on balance, tactics, and counters, and having it all come together in an awesome visual package, Mechabellum not only offers an exciting concept in the autobattler genre, but is a genuinely fun game on its own, and I highly recommend checking it out today. Let me know your thoughts on Mechabellum in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and sub to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to Paradox for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!